Yes, people, welcome back to another It's LB preview, man. Hopefully, you guys can forgive me, man. We was on just a pretty good show, actually, then with Grizz on the Football Carnage. Me and Errol was there, slightly overran, but it was a good chat. Hence why we're slightly late. But you guys, you're still getting loads of content in it. You know, the amount of content these days, boys, that's going out on YouTube, man. Like, you can literally, just go, but you can go on YouTube any point someone's live. Sass. YouTube making moves, man. It is pretty sick. But guys, make sure you smack up the like button like Will Smith style, yeah? We need to get the likes up. What we're on now, 40 likes. Let's see if we get 10 people hit the thumbs up button. Let's get to 50 likes. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Because we're making our way to 10k. In fact, we might get 10k tomorrow, which will be a bit of a madness. If City win and we get 10k, then I'm getting on the sauce, boys. Tom, welcome, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Looking forward to Liverpool actually being back, so I don't want to watch any more crap internationals. The only good internationals are around like 2 o'clock in the morning because of the South Americans. So just glad some good footies back.
Did I tell you about my my little situation that I had with Brazil, Argentina?
You did.
You was on that stream. Errol, listen to this, man. I had a nightmare, bro. Absolute stinker, right? So, obviously, I did a watch-alongs, innit, for like other random games. I don't just do City watch-alongs. So I was looking at the fixture schedule. I was looking at the international break. It's all dead. The only good one, Brazil, Argentina, right? I'm on livescore.com. Yeah, you know the website. It says half past 12. Yeah, 00 -- 30 Wednesday, right? So anyway, I wake up on Wednesday morning thinking, I'm ready for a watch-along tonight. I go on Twitter. I'm seeing all these Argentina fans kicking off with the Brazil police. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here, mate? Like, what? The game's tonight, bro. I botted out. I botted out, bro. You know what I mean? So there was no watch along. But
regular schedule and back.
Yeah, well, this is it, man. You know what I mean? Apparently, it was a dead game anyway, so I kind of didn't miss anything. But that was a bit of a L moment for me. But anyway, bro, Errol, how you doing, man?
Oh, well, you know how I'm doing, bro. I'm still here. We're still going. We're going live again. And I hope you get the 10K tomorrow, but I hope Liverpool win. That's the only change to your opening statement that I'd make more than anything else. But no, we've just been chopping it up on Grizz's channel. So there's still loads you can talk about with these teams at the minute. There's everything right. It seems to be going on the pitch for Liverpool and City at the minute. I know we've got big injuries to some big players, but outside of that, we are the teams to beat, I still think. I had us down, our predictions on the race for Europe. I had us down as 1 and 2 again. Obviously, I always consider City as the favourites, given the track record and the history. But it's not about saying we're back. It's just kind of, you said it before, Liverpool were napping last season. They woke back up. You know, when Liverpool are active, we're as dangerous a proposition as City are going to face all year.
Let me ask you a direct question, so you can't sit on the fence. Who is Manchester City's main Premier League title rival this year? Who is more likely to win the Premier League, Liverpool or Arsenal?
I think right. So I'll tell you this. This is how I'll answer that question. If City had the injury crisis that we did with Van Dijk, say you was to lose Rodri now in your midfield and you lose Haaland for, God forbid, whatever reasons from now to the end of the season. So you're not going to get the goals and your defense is probably going to start leaking and you just fall away by the wayside. Liverpool pip Arsenal in a 2-horse race to a title, 100%. Now, the fact that City are going to be in the equation means it's going to be more difficult to navigate. However, if it was a 2-horse race and a 2-horse shootout between us and Arsenal, where you of last season, we could give Arsenal a 5-point head start and we chip away at them and we bottle it. And that's not me to just ban to Arsenal. That's just because we know the levels you need if we want to take a title back to Anfield. And I think until Arsenal bridge that gap, and I'm not to say that they can't bridge that gap, but they have more of a mammoth task bridging that gap this season because we're in the way and you're still in the way.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I remember the start of the season, and you'll remember this, right? Because Dan Potts did not like it, right? I remember being on like various different streams, right? And people was like pre-season predictions, and people kept on saying to me, this was before a ball was kicked, LB, who's City's main title contenders? I said Liverpool. And Arsenal fans didn't like it, man. They didn't like it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why.
He wanted the respect.
Yeah, I do know why.
Owed something. He felt because we bottled the league, we are owed something now. So you owe us the respect to say we are your rivals. No, you're not.
Yeah, nah, you're right. You are right. Now that is the reason why. But listen, the reason why I think Liverpool are City's main title rivals, and I have flip flopped. Yeah, I'll hold my hands up. You'll know that, Errol, because I've said it on 12 man on Race for Europe. I have flip flopped on this. But the reason that I'm still back at Liverpool now, because I started at Liverpool, I'm back at Liverpool, and in between the last 12 weeks, I've sort of been in and out of Liverpool and Arsenal. But the reason I'm back at Liverpool is their midfield is performing better than I thought it was. Right? So before the ball was kicked, I was like, I think Liverpool's going to do it. But then Arsenal fans were seeing, someone seemed to doubt in my brain, like, yeah, Liverpool's defense. Yeah, I remember Dan Potts on the street. Yeah, but Liverpool's defense still needs a couple players. Their midfield, and I was like, yeah, he's probably right. You know what? Probably Arsenal. You're probably right. But the facts are the facts, right? I've maintained this. One, Liverpool's attack is one of the best in the league in terms of, because you've got Salah, who's just a freak, yeah. So they will score goals, right? Their midfield is overperforming what anybody probably thought they was going to do. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be as solid and as good as they have been. I think that's probably a fair statement. And probably most crucial, Van Dijk has elevated his game to a really high standard again, yeah, which is obviously he's leading at the back, right? So for me, I think Liverpool are our main title contenders. And I don't know if you just mentioned it, Aaron, but the facts are as well that until Arsenal actually win a trophy, and I'm pretty sure this would have been the same when we got bought out in 2008. I'm pretty sure everyone would have been saying the same thing about City. Until you actually win the thing, you don't just automatically gain that respect. But Tom, I want to bring you on that. What's your sort of views on the whole title race and Arsenal fans not exactly liking this sort of conversation, man?
I think it just comes down to experience, really. If it came down to us in Arsenal, like Errol said, we'd win it because our players have been there, done it, got the medals for it. They know how to manage these situations. They know how to handle the pressure. Arsenal's don't. Arsenal's players have a culture of losing, whether they like it or not. All they have at the minute is a culture of losing and falling at the final hurdle and failing to meet expectations. Whilst our players, you could suggest, they've lost a lot of finals, but we've won stuff. We've won Champions Leagues. We've won Premier Leagues. We know what is required to get it done. I think the big thing is there's a lot of weird narratives going around Liverpool, a lot of lazy narratives going around Liverpool. The big one was Liverpool's defences and all that. We've got the best defence in the league. We've conceded the least amount of goals.
With Arsenal as well, though, albeit. But
yeah,
everyone's raving about fucking Saliba as the next coming of fucking Virgil van Dijk. So you're going to have what we consider the best. They've got it.
And then when you listen to them, they're sitting there going, yeah, we've sacrificed our attack to have a good defence. We're sitting there going, our attack's sound. It's got like 30-odd goals already this season. So this is the thing. If you can't find a nice balance, you're not going to do anything. You need to have an attack that's scoring goals and a defence that's rock solid. And I just think Arsenal ran to a bit of a brick wall with their attack at the minute in terms of fluidity and how it's going to play out. Whereas us, you've got Núñez, who is just chaos, perfect for anything. Jota and Sal will finish chances. Diaz is just a dynamo on that left. I think he's so criminally underrated by a lot of rival fans, but it's because he doesn't get loads of numbers. I think he's so important. Gakpo is just Cody Gakpo. I think he's another one who goes a little bit under the radar because he's not really playing as much. That attack, it is one of the best in the league. I think it's arguably the best in Europe. I think when everyone's on it, I don't think you're going to find an attack that is more dangerous in terms of every facet.
LB, I'll tell you, I've said it from the only thing I could guarantee about this Liverpool team from the start of the season before a ball was kicked was we had the best attacking five. I know not all teams are going to have five, but I said there's a front line out of any of the options, we've got the best. We might not have the best individuals to a man, but when you put that cohesive unit together and get them all minutes on the pitch, that is out and out the best for me. Obviously, there are still some of the good ones, and over the course of the season, new players pop up and make systems happen themselves up top. But you're right, Arsenal hasn't clicked. They haven't had that fluidity. Fair enough, the results are coming with it, but at some point, it's got to become a tipping point where we'll use 1-0 to the Arsenal the entire season. What are the odds of that? Or will it come good? And if it doesn't come good, the results might not continue to go in your favour.
This is why I've been saying about Arsenal, and I'll come on to the Liverpool point that Tom just raised then about the balance and that. But with Arsenal, yes, they're getting the results, right? So you can't knock them for that. At the end of the day, it's a results-based game. But as someone who speaks about football, I've got to give my opinion. And my opinion is, based on what I'm witnessing from Arsenal, I don't think those wins are sustainable throughout the season. And I think they'll end up drawing too many games, which, as you two will know,
seasons. That
They're
kills.
practically losses. Draws against City are losses.
Not good. They're not good. The only way, a draw is good is if it's in a big game. Like, so if Liverpool draw against City tomorrow, that's not the worst. If you draw against just like teams that you should be beating, that's not good. You know what I mean? And no matter how you dress it up, maybe you score like a last minute equalizer, whatever, they're not good when you're talking about the title, because you need to be winning the games. And I just think that they'll draw too many matches. Now, time will tell. Obviously, we'll see. I think this is the thing, right? Arsenal fans are saying about Arsenal, yeah, and obviously this is a Liverpool preview, but obviously this is the foreplay bit of the show. That they've got more control. I just think what you've done is you've just kind of killed what made Arsenal special last year, yeah. In their attack, and you've gone for this more sort of slow style, and I just don't think
handbrake back on it. Arteta has put the handbrake back on it, but as I say, while it's getting results, there will be part of that fan base that will grumble. But any sane one would know that, as you say, it's a results-based game. So right now, the more we'll do, at some point, it's got to go the other way. The momentum's got to shift to the point where they do get that fluidity back, and that will be their biggest question mark.
Yeah, and they've had injuries, haven't they, Errol, as well, which obviously when they come back, the Jesuses and Odegaards and everyone's in the team, then maybe they'll cut. But I want to have the same sort of energy now with Liverpool about the midfield. I said at the start, I think Liverpool's midfield has overperformed what I expected, and probably I'd probably say you two as well. So the same question about sustainability: is the way that your midfield is performing sustainable? Maybe, obviously, we'll talk about January transfer window, but can they continue doing what they're doing, or for the rest of the season? Or do you think in certain games they might drop off or whatever? Like, Errol, I'll come to you on this one.
I think the fact that they have gelled so well would suggest that the lads around them have really got them on song. I think it all comes down to, and I said it briefly on Griz's channel just then, where we are in January. If we're looking down that last, 15, 16 games and thinking, actually, if we do a 10-game win streak here now, we're in a really strong position. Have we got that in the tank? And obviously, then the wider squad look at reinforcements. Do we then nail down as someone that can hit the ground running as a 6? I think the areas for me where we're again in that midfield where we really do need to address it is I'm not so bothered about McAllister playing the 6 because 80% of the Premier League games where he plays the 6, we're going to have most of the ball, high percentage of the ball. So it's how we use the ball in those games for us, and it's do we iron out the defensive brain farts the other way, because it's only those that really kill Liverpool. There aren't many teams. I know we're going to go against City tomorrow, and that'll look completely different than how most of our games have gone for the majority of the season in terms of relinquishing possession to us. But there are only so many games where teams will try and put wave after wave of attack on Liverpool. It doesn't happen. It's sparing moments that teams are switched on. We have lapses of concentration, or we make mistakes, or they punish us with a bit of stardust. And that can happen, but it's will we have a small percentage of those, or will that be like you said before about Arsenal? Will those games lead to draws where the front five didn't, Luton, the front five didn't click that day, and you do end up drawing? Yet you get a late equalizer, but in the grand scheme of things, even though that game happens in October, you could be looking at it in May thinking that was where we lost the fucking league, and it's in those moments for me where I think, if Liverpool can overcome that come January and have that one eye on it to think it's a possibility, I think you're bubbling up to the second half of the season to be very competitive, and we'll probably push to those 90-point marks again, because I think Liverpool and City, both sides, can switch that tap back on. If we need to go to that well, last year we couldn't go to the well. There was nothing left to dig, lad. You'd go there and you think we'd be 1-0 behind, and you'd know if they've got to dig deep in that well again to get a result out. We're not pulling it out the bag today. It got to a point where us as fans knew that we wasn't going to do it. As much as we knew the talent was on the pitch, we knew the players were on, but we just knew we weren't going to do it. I'm starting to more and more grow confidence that if we get to that point, it's so hard to say because we're not at that point right now, in games like tomorrow or a massive test in terms of the barometer how far are Liverpool off City? Because if you're close to where City's best level is, and I know you've already mentioned in the last show, mate, that this isn't the best form of City, but we just need to be on your coattails at that point before it to become tasty. Because I still think this is a season too early for us to really stick our chests out again and be like, we're back, baby. The league can be ours all over again, and we can really take it to City and go blow for blow. I still think you have the edge on us, but it's like the edge of before we won it. We knew it was coming. Before we won the Premier League off you, we knew it was coming. Whether it was the season where we went and won the Champions League, or it was right next season, it's ours. And we blew yous out the water, and City weren't up for it. And by Christmas, yous had given up, and we knew, it was going to be Liverpool's. I think we're back at that point again in our trajectory. Or that's how it feels to me anyway. Don't know how it feels for you, Tom.
I look at it and I think the one thing about our midfield is this is a young midfield. This is a midfield that is just come together and it's got so much time to grow. This is why in the summer, when everyone suggests that we want a 6, even when names like Joel Palini were thrown out, I know he's a fantastic player, but I wanted someone younger because I want to grow this midfield core together so you've got a strong unit there and we don't have to address it again. And I look at this season, let's say we don't go out and buy someone in January, which is a very real possibility. I know Jurgen Klopp has been a big fan of how the midfielders played this season. You've still got Stefan Bajcetic to come back, who I think people are sort of forgetting how good he was last year in a struggling Liverpool. It's hard to stand out in a struggling midfield, and Bajcetic did. So him coming back with the other young midfielders, that's going to be a boost. What it is for us is the mentality's back. The mentality is back in a big, big way. Last year,
how's that happened, Tom? What's changed for that mentality?
The legs have been revitalised, and it sounds simple, but that was the big thing. When I look at last year, the mentality came back to an nth degree in the latter part of the season, and that was when you added legs in the midfield with Curtis Jones compared to what we'd been playing all season, which was a leggy Henderson, a leggy Fabinho. You had Thiago in and out with injuries. Keita came in for a couple of games. It was a very jaggedy midfield. You brought in a consistent legs. The press sort of revitalised, and you managed to get a bit of a run going. This year, we have got the legs straight back in there. Gravenberch can run. Szoboszlai, my God, can that man run? That we need to sort of look after him and tell him to stop running at points because he loves running. You add all that in, that is a mentality shift for everyone else because your midfield is your engine. So when in these games we were going 1-0 down last year, teams would then just start passing it around the midfield and we couldn't get near them. And it demoralised everyone because you're going, we can't even get the ball back now. And they're just toying with us now. The midfield is straight on it, pressing, touch tight, you win it back, it suddenly revitalises and goes, okay, it's just a matter of time. Plus, I think the attack has gelled a little bit better this season. So, whereas last season you'd see games where it looked a bit disjointed because you had Núñez in and out with injuries and, adapting. Jota missed large parts of the season. Diaz missed large parts of the season. You had Bobby Firmino in and out with injuries, even though I thought he had quite a good season. The only consistent one was Salah. Now they're all fit. Now they're all got confidence. You've got that extra edge where in the last 10 minutes of a game, you're going, if a chance falls to an attacker, they'll bury you. And that's all you need. That was what it was like in our best years. Do I think the squad will get to that level? No, I don't think it will because I think that level was, so high.
Tom, don't you know what, I used to say, I always use this analogy with strikers. When I used to watch Torres, I was a lot younger, but I never thought I'd see a better striker play for Liverpool than Fernando Torres. What he was able to do in a Liverpool shirt. Then we found Suarez, and I just thought, that's it. That is the top of football and number 9 talent that we're ever going to get. And what I seen it, and in a very different way, but in a more consistent way, we've eclipsed that again with Salah. So this team will be another iteration of peak power, but I can imagine it will still push to as good as what we've seen with the original front three. I genuinely do. Especially when you're talking about this young midfield. They're going to have more years together than the last midfield did. And if we ever do need to splash the big money on getting like the same way we did with the Fabinho in the end, think of the players that are going to be around the next version of the Fabinho. You're going to have a Szoboszlai, you're going to have a Gravenberch, you're going to have a Curtis Jones coming into his prime. You're still going to have a Harvey Elliott. That midfield that offers so much more from a creative standpoint with this attacking power that we've got. A bigger monster could be born. It's just that it's in its infancy right now. And that's why I said before, for me, this could be the season that's too soon, but I'm calm with that. If we push City in a season where I think it's a season too soon to within 1 point again, all right, yeah, we've lost the league by a point again, and you know it becomes a bit of a bit of a fucking a bit of a meme almost at that point. But considering the context of the role, I'm like, yeah, next season we're coming, and I could.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be here. I'll be honest. This situation right now, I was not expecting us to be here. I was expecting this season to be around the third place finish. You're comfortably top four, but there's a little bit of a gap between first. But the focus is on, getting a good Europa League campaign in the legs, which is there for developing the younger players in the squad so they can accelerate the development. The fact of the matter is, the midfield has shocked me, the attack has shocked me, the defence has shocked me, and I'm looking at this team going, is it fully there yet? No, but with a bit of luck, it can be. And next year, when you add the final pieces, hopefully, or in the next 2 years, when the final piece of the jigsaw are added and there's more development, this squad can be at that level to challenge for the top honours again consistently. And like you said, the one thing this squad does have is it's got the years on the other one. If let's say next year we are at the point where we can win league titles again, I think Henderson, when we won the first league title, was 29. Fabinho was 26. Oh, was he 20? Was 27? He might be 27. Yeah,
might be 27. To be fair.
And then Wijnaldum was around about 28. This one, let's say it's the midfield three of McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, 22, 21, and 24. They have minimum 4 years, 5 years before they're even matching those levels.
Yeah,
and that's just rubbing together with the depth in there as well.
There's one key thing you're missing there, and that is what happens to Salah, boys, because once he goes, he's like... And you could go this summer, man. If the Saudis come in with the cash, you know what I mean? And this, when you got someone like Salah or you got a player like Haaland, cash is almost irrelevant, man. Because, like, who else is that? Like, say we lose Haaland, right? What do we do?
Go back to playing that false nine. Just go back to do anything. Anything seems to work for you. It just needs a season, then you win.
Alvarez ain't going to score 60 goals in one single season. You know what I mean? So the money almost becomes a little bit of an irrelevance. And this is sort of my point with when we saw Mahrez in the summer. Of like, yeah, great. Mahrez became the third player over the age of 30 to be sold for more than 30 million or whatever it was. Yeah, some weird fucking stat. And great. But that's how go replace me his goals and assists with 30 million. You can't do it. You know what I mean? No, actually, we've done a pretty good job. We got Jamie Doku in 40 odd million. But yeah, when you got a player like Salah, mate, you know what I mean? This is going to be a madness when he goes. But listen, I want to get on to starting 11s, man, because this is I like this. Tom, look at his face, man. And this is going to be interesting between you two, because you're going to disagree on this. But let's go through this the way I normally do it on the previous boys. I'll do my defense, you do your defense, I'll do my midfield, etc. We'll go for it like that,
yeah.
But obviously we can discuss both lineups. So Ederson, I've actually not heard anything on Ederson. I'm pretty sure he's going to be all right, but he obviously had that ankle injury that he suffered against Chelsea. But I'm pretty sure he's going to be fine. I'm going to go Kyle Walker right back, probably captains the side as well. Needs to wake up. So does Ederson, actually. You know what I mean? He made that mistake against Chelsea, parrying the ball straight down the middle to Jackson Walker at right back. I'm going to go with Kanji, who's been in fine form recently. 3 goals in a row as well for a centre-back. It's pretty crazy. Diaz, he needs to wake up. Shocking against Chelsea. And hey, I want your takes on this one, because it was obviously just on with Grizz then, and Grizz said he'd play Ake if he was Manchester City. But I'm going to go Gvardiol. Errol, what's your sort of take on it? Do you think I'm being brave there, or do you understand what I'm doing?
Your rationale was that, Guardiola offers you something going forward, whereas Ake doesn't. Am I right in saying that? Yeah, basically. Yeah, so I think from our perspective, I think that allows us to kind of exploit it because we do still heavily overload on that right-hand side for a lot of our attacks. It's nice when we can kind of start a play from the left, but we always really want to get those penetrative runs from the right-hand side where we can. I think obviously, you know, Trent drifting into those spaces, he will exploit that. He will go around the outside of Salah at times. Szoboszlai is happy to go around the outside of Salah as well. We've seen, I like Salah at the minute to a bit more of a golfer in the way that he's playing the game because he just sets the ball down within 4 or 5 yards of wherever his running position is, and then he wants to move the ball on. He doesn't really want to be running with the ball as much anymore, unless he's in a little bit of a tight space in and around the box to find an angle towards goal. wherever he receives it, within 4 or 5 yards, sometimes less than 10 yards, he's given the ball and he's on the move again. That could be really crucial for us. So I think someone like Gardner there raiding down the other flank going towards our goal leaves us that little bit of space. So I'm not mad that you've put him there, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'd prefer if we went up against Guardiola. And to be honest, I think the way City will set up, I think that left-hand side is dependent on who plays in front of Guardiola on the wing. If you play Guardiola and Doku, I think that's asking an awful lot.
That's
in terms of like that's very attacking. That's going to open a lot of space on that side. Yeah. I think you'd almost have to do a balance of Guardiola and Grealish or Ake and Doku. And if you go Guardiola, I just like the idea of like you said, Errol, the overloads we can get on that side with Szoboszlai. You love swapping in that space. Salah, he's been brilliant in that space this year. I've been so creative in that role with that vision. That is an avenue which we can use to exploit. And I think that's how we're going to have to attack the spaces that I'm assuming he's going to still do that inverting thing. So it would be Kyle Walker bombs on, and then you'll probably play someone else in DM now, won't you? Or Akanji steps in.
Akanji, yeah. If he does that, yeah.
So then I'll probably see like Diaz coming into the centre a little bit more, and then there's gaps in between Guardiola. I'm not going to try and go down Walker's side because Walker still bothers me because he's quite quick. But it's the Guardiola and Diaz gap in the channel that I think Salah and Nunes will be looking at and going, yeah, I want a bit of that. I want a bit of running in that channel because it's a bit open. There's a bit of space to exploit there. Whereas I think Ake, even though I don't think Ake has actually ever done a really good job on Salah, per se, I think he's just going to be a bit more of a solid option. He's not going to try and get forward.
He knows the danger more. He's more familiar with the danger as well. So he's always going to have one eye on where Salah is, where Guardiola's going to back himself and his ability and maybe that kind of naivety.
It's funny you say that though, Errol, because I remember I can't remember when it was yet. It was either last year or the year before, right? And I actually think Ake did that, but it cost him. I can't remember which game it was, man, which doesn't help the situation. But there was a game, I remember watching it, and he almost was too obsessed with Salah. And you scored from the right-hand side, and it was because Ake was not marking the player he was meant to mark because he was too worried about... You know what, bro? It might have been, man. Chat, help me out, man.
I think it might have been the FA Cup.
He scored a goal off the right-hand side. I can't even remember if it was at the Etihad or your place, man. It really don't help. But yeah, basically, it was on the left. Salah was on the wing. He was holding the wing. He was holding the width. And there was a guy like in between Ake and like our centre-back, yeah? And basically, Ake should just go and mark him. But he didn't because he was too worried about Salah. You ended up scoring. Whereas
I think it is. People are saying it's the FA Cup. I'm pretty sure it was the FA Cup game, no?
It might have been that one then. Whereas, like you say, with Guardiola, I kind of want us to throw Guardiola in as well, right? Because I don't know. I don't know what he's going to be.
And I think maybe that naivety might be a bit of an advantage or something we can play to anyway. I think we, as Liverpool fans, we're going to be optimistic in that situation where we almost have seen enough of Ake to just know, if you want to put that defensive minded head on and keep one eye on Salah, it might not be to you, as you said before, it was to his detriment. This time it might not be to his detriment at all.
Yeah,
I'm just gutted that Cancelo isn't there anymore because Salah used to get so much joy against Cancelo.
Alhamdulillah, bro. This guy, man, cannot defend, man, in the fucking big game.
He was the best fullback in the world before he went to Bayern.
Yeah, no, when he was attacking, and he was on form, but this guy always dropped a stinker defensively. So I'm fucking glad he's not there anymore. Anyway, let's move on to the Liverpool back line, which again is up for debate. Guys, before we do, make sure you drop a like on the stream if you've not done so already. We're currently 16 likes away, from 100 likes, 16 people out of nearly 180. Hit that thumbs up button for me. Massively help support the channel. And of course, make sure you are subscribed. Okay, who wants to start this? Tom.
I'll let Tom. You've heard mine, LB, so I want to hear Tom's.
My back line will probably be Alisson in goal, obviously. Trent at right back.
Yep.
A centre-back partnership of Van Dijk and Konate. I know that there's an argument about putting Matip in there, but I would sooner play Matip against the side that is going to go to their striker in the air a lot. I think that's an underrated part of Matip's game. He's very good in the air, John Matip. He's very good in his aerial duels. I think that's an area where Konate struggles a bit on Matip, whereas I think Konate's got the recovery pace. So if you are able to beat the high line at some point with a Haaland or, a Doku Canarte can offer that cover that is needed. And at left back, I'd go Gomez.
Would you? Oh,
I would.
That's a big call. Big call.
I would. The one thing that I need you to say, El, is I'm going very pessimistic in my way. I'm going in a very similar vein to how we played at Anfield last season, which was, a stark contrast of how we played, very much setting up to cover the middle, be resolute in defence, and try and hit them on a couple of counters, but making sure you don't lose.
Do you know? Yeah, there's that. But do you not think we were dead narrow last time Gomez played? And I don't know. I think I hear what you're saying, but my apprehension with Gomez is that we didn't have enough width when we've utilised him, and then obviously you've got someone like Jota in front of him because he wants to cut inside, so you then automatically lose the width. So again, then there's a big call for who's going to be that left-sided midfielder for you, who's going to go round the outside on that left-hand side.
And that's where I'm changing my original thoughts. But the big thing about Gomez for me is I think where we went wrong in that Luton game was if you're going to play Gomez at the left back, which I think can work, you've got to commit to the Trent inverting.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say you could do that.
Push your right centre mid, whoever it is, out wide, or leave Salah having a little bit more responsibility out wide. Whereas I think against Luton, we just tried to play a traditional back four, and that was where Gomez started running into problems because he was getting into crossing areas and going, I don't want to cross it on my left foot. I've got no left foot for it. So he was always going backwards.
The way LB's got it lined up there, I could live with that. It's just, again, as you say, it's that level of commitment. How much do we then commit? Because by rights, I think we'd end up more a flat back four if City are wave after wave. I don't really think we'd get the opportunity. I think the inverted stuff works really well when we know we're going to be the team with the majority of the possession. When you're then expecting Trent to do a lot of his best, where we'd want to see his best work in midfield without the ball, I don't think he naturally lends himself. I don't think he lends himself to being as comfortable in that 6 position. Whereas if he knows he has to defend as a right back, he's going to put a shift in. Whether he gets rinsed a couple of times or he comes out on top, he's going to put a shift in because he's got that down to a T. In the half space, he really wants to be on the ball, or he's almost a little bit anonymous because defensively he's quite happy for the other players to do the lion's share of that defensive responsibility.
He likes that thing where he drops into centre back and lets Canarte go out to right back until we win the ball back.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, this is mainly when I look at Gomez left back, I want to get Trent involved in the game, but I also, again, this is coming from the amount of respect I've got for City. I dread a matchup of Foden versus Tsimikas or Doku versus Tsimikas. I don't trust Tsimikas defensively. I don't think he's a very good defender. I think attacking wise, he can have his blinders. He's got a good delivery on him. When he gets into it, he's got a really good delivery on him. But defensively, he just worries me at points. I think he reminds me. You told me, Albie, Cancelo just used to go forwards and try and dive in and be very proactive. That reminds me of Tsimikas. Tsimikas likes to try and intercept the ball, but he misses it a lot. And then there's all the spacing behind.
Composure, yeah.
I hear what you're saying, Tom.
Either one of them that play has to play a 10. That's the only thing for me. Like, it doesn't really matter almost because both of them have got to play a 10 in their own respective games for us to get anything out of it. The last time Joe Gomez did play a 10 was against City, albeit at Anfield. So that's why I was sitting on the fence. I went in my other lineup. I went for Tsimikas, to be fair, with the caveat that he has to be a 10 if we're going to get anything out of the game because there's just too much space and too much opportunity. I think he's gone under the radar because Van Dijk in recent weeks has elevated his game to the point where it's not really looked like a weak area for us. But I'm with you in the defensive side of things. He can be he's a fine understudy, but would you ever have put him in a big game over Robertson? No, because he's not at that level. And I think that's that's the position we're currently in. But I think he's got to pull rank over Gomez for me.
That's fair. It's games like this where I miss Robertson because he's got a lot of unnecessary stick this season, Robertson. I think he's been actually quite decent until the injury. And it's games like this where you're going to miss him because he's always a reliable player.
Yeah.
He's always a reliable player. And against a Foden, I think he'd actually do quite well against the matchup with Phil Foden because he'd know how to deal with him. Whereas Tsimikas, I just don't think his defending style matches up against someone who's got so much confidence.
This is clearly your weak spot in this game. Whoever plays on this left-hand side, both of you. I mean, neither of you are going to be majorly happy when you see this left back. It's just like I think Errol's right. You know what I mean? Whoever plays there is going to have to drop a 10.
I'd fully understand if Klopp wanted. I'd know there'd be a justification into the respect if he drops Gomez in there. And I think it's the style in which we go. If we go with the handbrake off, Tsimikas is playing. But if we go and we have Gomez starting, it's because Klopp respects the threat that City are going to possess for large parts of the game. And he wants to soak up as much of that by having capable defenders in and around protecting our box. And I think that'll be one of the biggest indicators of how we approach the game before a ball's kicked, if I'm being honest with you. Might be a little bit of a giveaway.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So the lads don't fully agree on Liverpool's left back. Tough call for Klopp tomorrow. What does he do? Right, let's go into the City midfield. By the way, guys, we have just hit 100 likes in it, so keep smashing that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Obviously, yeah, Rodri starts for me. I think he's.
Play Calvin Phillips. Let's just have a laugh with Calvin Phillips in there. Let him have his audition for his eventual January move.
Do a double pivot. Him and Lewis were good.
Yeah, no, we're all right, man. We're all right on that. Yeah, Rodri, for me, best midfielder in world football. I think it's him and Bellingham right now who are tearing up trees. I think it's absolutely incredible. Listen, I'm so torn on what to do with these two players. I really, really am. This is what I'm thinking, yeah. This is what I've sort of gone with. Bernardo and Rodri next to each other and Alvarez in the 10. But honestly, I ain't confident in that. The reason I ain't confident in that is two things. One, will Bernardo Silva, will he stick next to Rodri in that double pivot? Because if he decides to start going over here, Bray, you could potentially get an isolation on Rodri. Depends on how well Akanji steps into that midfield. So I really want Bernardo to stick next to Rodri tomorrow and make this game a real tight affair and back our striker Erling Haaland. That's what I'm saying. The other problem with this situation is Julian Alvarez. He's been very, very good this year. He's been one of our best players. Some people will say he's been our best player, but he didn't have the greatest game against Chelsea. None of the team did, to be fair. So there is that. And ultimately, if I'm setting up like this in a tight affair, I need this guy because I'm putting all the pressure on Julian Alvarez tomorrow to create. I'm saying, can you create me a chance, for a ball in behind these two for Erling Haaland? Does he have that quality? We know he's a good finisher. We all know that, yeah. We know that he can get an assist now and again. But in the real tight moments, does he have that ball? Because you could be looking at the end of the game and going, why didn't you start Foden in there? Why didn't you just start Bernardo Silva in there? Both better at that through ball in behind. But I'm going to stick with him. I think he deserves to play. But it's one of them, man, where after an hour, I could be sitting there thinking, why the bloody hell did we do this? We should have played Foden in the pocket. So any thoughts on that midfield from you guys?
Alvarez scares me. I don't really like Bernardo, but that's not for footballing reasons, really. But Alvarez does genuinely frighten me as that link between your midfield and Erling Haaland. I think the kid, after the 12 months he's had, he could retire, be done with footy, never kick a ball again. He's completed it, clocked it. You know, Jay from the in-betweeners. Yeah, mate, he's done it. He's him. You know what I mean? The Argentina geezer, man. I swear. But I think he's got the talent as well to go with it. And I think it's the fact that he will operate in the half spaces and he'll work the channels as well. So we know where Haaland will do. Haaland wants to avoid getting drawn into a physical confrontation with Konate and Virgil van Dijk. If he avoids that and sticks to the football on the pitch, he might get some joy. But you can imagine that they'll try and embroil him into that kind of game. Alvarez, on the other hand, he's more elusive. And that's what I think Liverpool need to be careful of. Because when you've had those elusive players before, in the ilk of a Leroy Sané, or when Foden plays, someone that will operate in that half space and just says, I'm happy to float, I'm happy to drift in, I'm happy to drift out, but I'm happy to just explode. And that's what he has that explosive quality. That for me is where you think that's just warning signs, and that's where Liverpool can look shaky, because that's where you've got players that can hurt us. He is that person for us. Bernardo Silva's been that person, but if you're going to play him fucking 15 to 20 yards further back, sound. Just let him get rolled over by fucking Soboslai.
I'd back Szoboszlai in a physical battle with Bernardo.
Yeah,
Bernardo, I hate him as a bloke because he hates us, but I respect him as a footballer because he's such a bloody good footballer. He's so good.
Can't stand him. How much I hate him, he's a cunt.
Yeah, like I'm 18, 19. I remember the 2-1 at the Etihad. He ran that game. He absolutely ran that game from that midfield for City. He ran so much and was everywhere. And that if you're dropping him a little bit further back and putting him effectively one-on-one with Szoboszlai, that is the first player who we've had who I think can actually compete with them on all fronts. Alvarez worries me because I remember last year, albeit it's not the best situation because we were crap, but he terrorised us at the Etihad. Him dropping into those pockets, we couldn't really figure out whose man he is. Is he the DMs or does the centre-back step up? And that moment of indecision was what Mahrez wanted and what Grealish wanted and what the late runs of KDB wants, because that was when they went, right, I'm going now. And the pass would get played and we'd be just cut apart. Alvarez can cause that problem. And up against McAllister, he's got to have his best game of the season because there's an awful lot of pressure on him if Alvarez is the lone 10 because he's going to have to deal with the passes coming in from Bernardo and Rodri. But he's also got to always have one eye on Alvarez because all it takes is a split second where you lose him, and that's all he needs. He's a brilliant player.
The only thing I'd say about the sort of physical battle, I'm not really thinking too much about the physical battle. For me, it's the spaces in which Bernardo Silva occupies rather than getting stuck in with players. It's preventing your players from going in certain areas of the pitch. It's the energy that he can give us. He can join the attack if Akanji was to invert, but primarily I want him sitting there. And on the Alvarez situation, he's such an energetic player as well. He can, when you got Haaland up here and then get him just floating in here, who picks him up? Does Kanate go in? Well, then you're leaving space for Haaland. Does Van Dijk go in? Doubt it. But again, you're leaving space for Haaland. Or does he just occupy McAllister? Well, if that's the case, then you can obviously bring in Bernardo Silva. There's loads of different options, and people in the chat saying Rico Lewis. This is the problem, man. There's so many players that could potentially play in that midfield. You could play Rico Lewis. You could play Nunes. You could play Foden instead and play Bernardo on the wing. There's loads of different options. But for me, I go with this. But honestly, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I think Rico Lewis probably will start. Anyway, your midfield, boys. Why don't one of you... Tom, take me through your midfield, mate.
This is where I will vastly differ because I'm going for a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 of sorts. I'm setting up to stop two players and in turn hoping that it messes up City's build-up. So I know we probably won't set up this way, but I would personally go Elliot on the right.
Okay. Look at Errol's face.
That's a wild take. I'm hearing it. Go on. I'll let you finish. I'll let you land, Tom.
Szoboszlai and McAllister in the middle. But I'm also open for Szoboszlai and Jones. But I think, to be honest, he might go Jones because McAllister's had the South American game. So I might go Jones just because of the South American games.
You want to go Jones?
Yeah, you had a tough battle against Brazil in that last game before the end of the international break. So Szoboszlai, Jones. And if the international break wasn't a thing, Luis Diaz would be the key on the left because he'd offer the width that we need. But I think he's going to go Diogo Jota on that left. And then Elliot and Jota are there to track back like they done at Anfield last year, to offer the support to a Gomez and a Trent for the wingers that you're going to play. And then once we get to the front two,
we're gonna have to break.
Yeah. But what my front two, Gakpo would be the 10. Gakpo would be me 10 if I was to set it up properly, and I'd be giving Cody Gakpo the job of. Remember what Bobby Firmino used to do? You're doing that on Rodri. You are touch tight to him. You're cutting off passing lanes. You're trying to stop the ball getting into Rodri. That is what you have to do. Because then they're going to have to try and build up in other ways. They're going to have to try and build up through Kyle Walker or Gvardiol in the wider areas. And then with Salah being the other striker, that's where he'd sit on the break and go, right. The moment Gvardiol goes up, Salah's straight in that space, and then you've got a Szoboszlai who can play the ball, a Trent who can play the ball, a Gakpo can play the ball into the space, and then you're putting Salah one-on-one with Diaz. But as long as you can cover Rodri and force build-ups in other areas, I get the feeling that could upset City's build-up and create mismatches and create a little bit of confusion, and that's what Salah will be operating off of in these counter-attacking opportunities that we're going to get. We won't go for this because we're a better side than we were last year when we had to go for it. But that is how I would set up personally, because I have a lot of respect for City in there and their attacking quality. I need to cut it off and hope that with a couple of chances that we are going to get, we can get a goal, we can snatch a goal, and then after 70 minutes, if this does work right and it's still 0-0, or God forbid we've got a goal, that's when you can bring on your Diaz to give you that extra width that you need, or you can bring on your Nunes to push that defence back a little bit further and add a little bit more pressure. But that's basically it. I'm not someone who wants to go to the Etihad and try and imprint Liverpool's game on it. I want us to go there and stifle and annoy and upset City, and then hope that confusion, that disarray is what we can exploit and then leave with a goal. We won't go for this. This is just how I would do it.
Errol, is Tom cooking or is he smoking some strong stuff, bro? What we're saying?
Do you know what? Every point that he made, I can see the logic behind why he's made it. It's just that we don't play that way. So I know in his head he's saying that's what I would do because I know that we can use those tools and those assets in this particular, but we don't typically. I don't see Klopp changing how we play to that extent. You've considered taking out an out-and-out left back to put a centre back there. You're going to then expect, in that formation, does Trent then invert? Would he even bother inverting in that formation? There's probably no point. And then you're hoping, obviously, Salah goes through the middle as opposed to that cutting in run with the angle. I think Salah plays for that angle that he can do the runs in behind on. And then on top of that, man's leaving out Nunes. So I get it, but I just see Klopp going with what he feels has served him so well so far this season.
Okay, so big up to Tom for that. The chat thinks you cooked, but what I want now Errol to take me through what you think is going to happen. In fact, before I do, let me just get these super chats in. Big up to Tyrese, man, says, I heard McAllister could be injured. Big up, LB. Have you guys heard anything on that, boys?
I think he was in training, so...
Was he in training?
The Klopp didn't say anything on him. Klopp was just raving about him as a 6 today, so I don't think he's injured.
Okay, well, there you go, Tyrese. Big up for the super chat. And the other one says, hit the like button, people. It's free and supports LB. Absolutely, guys. Make sure you are hitting the like button, yeah? What we on now? 113. That's not a nice number, 13. Get us off 113, man. Hit the thumbs up button. And, of course, make sure you are subscribed. Big up to Tyrese, man, for the 2 super chats. Right, big up to Tom. The chat liked that, by the way. The chat was saying you're cooking. What is Tom cooking? But, Errol, why don't you take us through what you think is actually going to happen?
I think we are likely to see McAllister in the 6. I think I can live with the back line being the way that it is, but I think it's because Trent then does do the double pivot. He does invert into that hybrid role. So I think it is going to be McAllister. It's going to be Szoboszlai. And I think this is the one that I was stuck with on Grizz's channel. Hopefully I got a bit more time to deliberate on it. And I want to bounce these ideas off you as well, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
My version of being defensive is if we have Curtis Jones, it's because we're going to retain the ball where we can down that left-hand side, but it gives us a way around the outside if we are narrow through Gomez and Jota. So I can see why he would slot in seamlessly there. If Klopp wants to take the handbrake off, he's going to put Gravenberch in there, and he's going to want to be a little bit more in City's face, man to man. So McAllister's going to sit on Alvarez. You know, you're going to have Gravenberch trying to sit on Rodri, and then you're also going to have Szoboszlai sitting on Bernardo man to man, and it's just going to be who's going to be better on the ball, who can move the ball better, who can drop into the spaces. And that's where I'm torn. That's where I'm stuck thinking, I respect the fact that you've got to go to the Etihad. So when you get the rare opportunities to keep the ball, do you steady build up play, or do you gung-ho it and just really want to go straight for the jugular and almost miss out the midfield playing too much with each other?
Yeah.
Just to get Nunes in behind, spring Jota into into the right area, or play Salah to get a little bit creative down that right. And for me, that's what I'm stuck on. But I will probably go for Grant. I want to see us take the handbrake off. I want us to see us v City and just go blow for blow. And if City come out and beat us fucking 4-2, they beat us 4-2, we know where we stand. I wouldn't want to go away with any regrets thinking that could have been a missed opportunity, because City didn't have to get out of gear 2 or 3 to actually beat us.
Yeah.
I want them to do what they did with Chelsea, where they went blow for blow, and there could have been a 10 more minutes in that game, and there's 5-4 to someone. 5 more minutes at 5-4 to someone. That's what I want to see from us. And I think we only get that if we take the handbrake off. So I am going to go Gravenberch on the left, Szoboszlai on the right.
I'm a big fan of Curtis Jones. I think this is a game that is crying out for Curtis Jones. I think City, and I think Pep is a smart man. I think he's going to set up Alvarez to be a press on McAllister at the moment. Because even in the big games, we build up the same way. We play out from Alisson, it goes to Canate, and it ends up in McAllister. McAllister at some point will receive that ball to feet. And there's been a couple of times this season where, especially when Jones hasn't played, he gets caught on the ball because he's too late on the turn, or he takes a touch and then the pressure's on him and he's caught. The one thing I like about Jones is he always gives McAllister a deeper option. So the moment the ball goes into McAllister, he can just flick it on and Jones will take the pressure. And Jones is very good under pressure. I also think Jones gives you a little bit more in the wider area. If you're playing Gomez...
That's it. If you're going to play Gomez...
Then Jones sits wider.
Jones. Yeah, I can see.
This is I think Gravenberch is 100% the one you go for if you're taking the games to win. If that is what Klopp wants to do, Gravenberch has to play, because I think he would be a midfielder that can cause Rodri a couple of problems because he's silky on the ball. And he's got a good bit of pace about him. If he's able to get it past Rodri, that's where you can see an interesting matchup in terms of, is Rodri just going to foul him, or can Rodri keep up? And if he lets him go, what can Gravenberch do in that situation? Because he's actually been so good in the final third this season, Gravenberch, in terms of picking the right passes. For a 21-year-old, he's really shocked me, especially with all how the buying spell went. There was a lot of doubts, there was a lot of questions. What's wrong with Gravenberch? Not, you know what? I hope Bayern have more problems like that with youngsters so we can take them all, because they all seem a bit boss.
Okay, well, it seems like you've both got like completely different approaches to the game, which is interesting. Let's get into this the City attack then. Now we've done the midfields. For me, it kind of picks itself. Foden on the right, well, it doesn't really pick itself. There is a big question out on that left-hand side, but we have kind of done it to death, so I'm not going to like spam it out. Going to go Grealish. Reason being is we've not got him on the pitch yet, but when the lads put Salah in right wing, I want Grealish there for the off-the-ball work. I think that, there'll probably be periods, guys, I'm speaking to City fans here, where we struggle in the game, where Liverpool have periods of possession. They are a very good side, and that will happen. And I think if we're under pressure, he can be the outlet, that we can go to. He can sort of hold the ball up the pitch. He can maybe win some free kicks. You know what I mean? So I think for me, I do go Grealish. I said before, it's a very close call. It's not one where I'm like 100% Grealish. I'm very split. We've done the poll this morning on the stream. I think it was, I can't remember the exact score, but it was 48%, 52% for the other player. So the City fans can't decide. Before we come on to the Liverpool front three, what's your views on my front three there? Are you glad not to be seeing Doku, or are you understanding the reasons why I've gone for this?
I don't know if Doku's starting or Doku off the bench terrifies me more.
All right.
Doku generally just terrifies me because he reminds me so much of Sane, and Sane used to terrify me because he's quick and direct and has a bit of end product. I can deal with players who are quick and direct, but I can deal with Adama Traore, basically, who's quick and direct, but the moment he gets in the 18-yard box, sends it out for throw-ins.
Yeah,
but Doku's got a little bit about him in the box, and that's what worries me. So, and then am I going? So Trent with fit legs, it's 70 minutes, but blow for blow. So they'll both be at 100%, hopefully. Or am I willing to take the 30 minutes or the 25 minutes where it's a 100% Jeremy Doku against a pretty tired Trent because he's been inverting all game, been doing a fair bit of run. He's already had Grealish tired him out a little bit. Are we then going to have to make the change and then potentially bring on Gomez at right back if he's not started already?
Doku and that's one thing we know with City is we can't really put you to bed. We can win games, but user like apart from the Champions League, really in the runs of things, yous have been the one that have absolutely put us to bed in this game. It's like, all right, Liverpool can give up at this point. They're not gonna claw it back. City, I feel in the majority of games have always been in it, and that's where Tom's point comes in key. If you've got 20 minutes to go and Liverpool are 2-1 up, that's a big 20 minutes, especially with the way that they add an extra time on there. That 20 minutes automatically becomes half an hour. And fresh leg players like Doku is not the one you want bearing down at Trent Alexander-Arnold after,
So there is There is a third sort of option, which I will just throw out there just so you guys can see it and the chat can see it, which would be to, I'm not going to completely move him. Alvarez is not on the pitch. Foden goes into the 10 and Doku's out on the right. That is another possibility. We've seen Foden play in that position a couple of times this year and he's done quite well. But, and don't get me wrong, I look at that and go, that's pretty sick. But I just don't see it, guys.
12 men on the pitch.
yeah, 116.
He's so scared of Salah. He's got 2 left backs on as well.
So yeah, listen, I think that's the way we're going to go with it. I'm pretty happy with that. I think Grealish and Trent, that'll be an interesting battle. But the one that obviously stands out is this one here, Foden versus Gomez. Let's see what can happen there. It's on Foden's right side as well, which is better side than the left. But yeah, that's my.
To be honest, the way that's set up, I prefer that a little bit more because Foden. I know Foden's a brilliant player. Foden's caused us enough problems for me to know how dangerous he is. But from a very basic way of looking at it, Foden likes to cut inside, get more central. We're putting Joe Gomez on a stronger. When Phil Foden starts cutting in, Joe Gomez is going on to a stronger foot. He's always going into the pitch, which is where he wants to end up being because of how he plays. Whereas Tsimikas, I've already said, I don't trust Tsimikas defensively against the weakest of wingers. I think Foden just could cause Tsimikas a whole load of problems. I trust Joe Gomez a little bit more against Foden in the same way that I trusted Milner in certain senses against Foden because they respect Foden. They're not going to dive in at Foden's feet. They're not going to try and take the ball off him the moment he shows them because that's what Foden does. Foden gives you an inch and then takes a yard because you've committed. I don't think Gomez is going to do that, which is why I'm really big on Joe Gomez starting. If Tsimikas, don't get me wrong, I think Tsimikas will start because, like I said, I think the handbrake's coming off and Klopp's going to want to go blow for blow. But a Doku-Trent matchup worries me less than a Foden-Tsimikas matchup.
Okay. Interesting. What's your thoughts on this super chat here, boys? Errol, what's your take on that?
At the moment, currently, it's Alvarez. I feel like I've kind of touched on that a little bit, to be honest, because I just think he's a bit like what Tom was mentioning about Doku, just the ability to be very direct, be able to create things and be able to create something for himself out of nothing. I think that's what we've struggled with at times. Someone who can just be a little bit more elusive in the channels. And for me, he worked them so well last season against us. And I've seen him do it so far this season where he's just picked up his good form coming out of, the summer competition. Well, not summer competition, but back end of last season. And then obviously coming into the start of this season. Haven't really seen Foden's looked more like a bit part player. Whereas I feel like Alvarez is slowly starting to become an integral player to how City kind of attack this season. I think his link up with Haaland is probably returning better numbers for you. And again, that's just from the outside looking in. I wouldn't be surprised if their link up is better than it is.
The reason you're probably seeing that is probably because Alvarez is playing there more than Foden. But it's an interesting one. Obviously, you asked a question, Amar, and you got the answer. Alvarez scares them more. Right, okay. Well, only one last thing to do then, and it is the front three for Liverpool. So, Tom, I know you're sort of like conflicted with this because you don't really want Núñez to start.
No, in my way, I wouldn't want Núñez to start, but in this way, I think he has to start. If you're taking the game to City, Darwin Núñez has to start because he's going to push that defence back. He's going to create the space for Salah to operate in, which is he creates it in a different way than what we used to. The big one is the left-hand side. And for me, I've always looked at games against City and went, I would rather have the player who I trust to finish. Because I think the creativity can come from other areas. So for me, I'd be looking at Diogo Jota on that left. A man who's done it against City in the past. A man who, should a chance fall to him in that penalty area, I'd back him to finish. I mean,
is he your most underrated player?
I think he's starting to get some of the credit he deserves. I think underrated. Again, it's good. Scouts by, I think Curtis Jones goes under the radar a lot for all the good work he does. And I think he gets a lot of unnecessary stick. Jota's certainly up there. The one thing I will say about Jota is I believe he's the best finisher at the football club. I believe he's a better finisher than Salah. I think Jota's got more in his locker in terms of every type of finish. He can finish on his left, off his right, with his head.
Ball, as well.
Any type of angle, Jota's got it. And in this sort of situation, that's what you want. And I also think with Diaz, I don't think Klopp's going to start all the South Americans just because it's 12:30 after an international break, all this sort of stigma. I think Diaz would be the one to miss out, even though I think, we said with Trent and Doku, last 20 minutes, Doku versus Trent could be a really dodgy matchup. I think Diaz, a fresher Diaz coming off the bench against Kyle Walker. I know Kyle Walker's got more pace and everything, but it's a matchup that I quite like because
it's fresh.
Diaz can beat a man. Diaz has beat some very good defenders in the past with his pace and skill. So, and his confidence is sky high at the minute. So maybe off the bench, that's an avenue of attack we look for. But me personally, I'm starting Jota because I just trust his finishing.
Okay, and obviously Cody Gakpo, right wing. There we go.
Harvey Elliott, mate. I was onto something before 4-2.
Okay, this absolute freak can play right wing. He's sick in it. Let's just be real. The guy's a joker. I can't wait for the day he leaves the Prem, man, because when he does, that's gonna hurt you guys, man. He's unbelievable, and he seems to have added to he's almost adapted this year. I think one of you, I can't remember which one of you was speaking about it before, but he's almost changed a little bit now. And some of these passes that he's been putting in behind the defenses is pretty wild. So that's obviously. So this is the I guess the predicted 11s, right? With a slight obviously opinions on certain players. The key one for me is the Guardiola Ake, who plays in the midfield for City, and will it be Doku or Grealish? For you guys, I guess it's going to be Gomez or Tsimikas. Maybe Matip or Konate could be a potential choice. And then again, what happens in the midfield? And then I guess it just depends on obviously styles. Are Liverpool going to go for it? If I was Liverpool, I'd go for it. It's early on in the season. It's only November. What have you got to lose, man? Everyone expects City to win anyway. I'd full send it if I was Liverpool. I really would. I'd go for it.
I want to do that just to know where we are.
Yeah.
I need to see
a benchmark of what we are.
Yeah, I need to see a benchmark of where we actually are. Like I said to you on the 12-man race for Europe, LB, it's all well and good going 10 games and having let us get 10 games in and I can see what type of team we've now developed and we've got. But until you get tested against the best, I don't know where we are. And if it's a close game, but he's beat us 4-2, then there is still that margin that we know City can beat anybody on their day, including us. Or is it going to go to a game where we trump yous, we beat you as a 1-0, a slender 1-0 or 2-0, and you think, actually, all we need to do is keep chipping away in the results. And we'll be okay this season, regardless of how. Because that's what it boils down to. Regardless of how well you do, if we chip away, we'll be okay. We know that can mean one of two things. We know it can mean that we can go on to win a league, or we know it means that we're going to come agonizingly close to winning the league because City pipples, and but we will be okay as a result. So it's that what I want to see, because it's been 12 months. 12 months ago, I knew where he was.
The only other thing I'd say,
Anfield, even when we played him beat at Anfield, I knew where he was 12 months ago. And I didn't want to live with it, but I had to accept it. 12 months later, even though the trajectory's changed, I don't know where we are.
Yeah, even the big games we've had this season, they've not really. It's gonna sound weird. We haven't had a full big game. We haven't had a full big game.
Newcastle, we fucking lost Van Dijk. We lose 2 men against Spurs. Every other, Chelsea, I still think came too early. Came too early in the season to really prove anything of any real note. We played Everton, but we always beat Everton. Do you know what I mean? All these things, even though they might be big on paper, it hasn't lived up to it on the pitch for Liverpool. You've had a big game against Chelsea. It was a fucking great game. You've had a big game against Arsenal. And even though Arsenal might have picked you, on another day, you would have probably beat Arsenal 2-3-0. So nothing's really changed for your metric, because you are where, or maybe a little bit ahead, but you're expecting to pick up the points where you would normally see them in a season. Liverpool, on the other hand, even though we are still within touching distance, haven't had that big bump in yet with the other juggernaut. Yeah. You are the inevitable.
Errol, let me say this as well. I think, obviously, because from my point of view, you are right. I think you are correct in what you're saying about the fact that, you need to find out where Liverpool are, because we don't really know. You've done really well this season, but we don't. This game will show us. But also, you got nothing to lose, man. Liverpool are finishing in the top 4 this season. So even if you get smacked up 5-0 tomorrow, you come away from tomorrow and you go in, oh, you know what?
There's still work to do.
Yeah, still work to do. Probably not going to win the league this year. Top four should still be chill. Ain't no problem there. Title ambitions probably slightly dampened. We can do some work in January.
You know, LB, that's where you've got to get to.
100%.
That's where we need to be then, boys, because that's what's just happened. If we get spanked 5-0, that's where we need to be in 12 months' time.
And on the flip side, bro, if you do come and clash and you win, that's going to give your team bare confidence. And all of a sudden, people will be like, you know what, this team is ready. And instead of you coming on this saying we're 1 year too short, you can sit there and go, you know what, this can be the year that we win it. So if I was Liverpool, I'd full send it. No Kevin De Bruyne, no Stones. So this,
Stones is the big one. I'll be honest.
Stones is huge.
I'm happier you're missing Stones more so than KDB, because Stones last year put in an absolute clinic on us at the Etihad. An absolute clinic. And even the run, I think he was, bar Rodri, your most important player because of just how good he is in both roles. I don't know. Akanji is good. Rico Lewis is good. Who else can do that role? I don't even think who else inverts for him. I don't think there's anyone else.
Akanji can do it, but he's not the best.
You've got stopgaps there who can perform, but they aren't John Stones. You can get at them. Whereas John Stones, he just looked impaired last year in both roles. So missed out on him. Don't get me wrong. KDB loves a goal against us, and he loves a deflected goal off Joel Matip's right leg more than anything against us. But Stones can control games, and if we're going to go toe to toe, we can't let you control the game because that will just give you too much confidence. We need to keep the high press up. We need to keep the levels up, and I think the big battle for me, which I don't think we really touched on, how is Núñez going to handle the occasion? How's Núñez going to handle the game? Because
like a real one, like a real G.
Is he gonna? Because I think it'll be a real interesting one if Akanji is the one who starts and he pushes into the middle. I think Núñez really might try and exploit that space which Akanji leaves. So if we're able to win it back quick, don't be shocked to see it's going to sound. We're just going to. I think we'll play a lot of long balls tomorrow. The goal we scored last year at the Etihad came from effectively a long ball over the top of your defense when he pushed forward, because we've got the players with the quality to do that. So that could be a way that we're attacking, but I'm not, unless we get battered 6-0, 7-0, I'll be happy with a good performance. I just need to know where I stand with this team. Where I need a 90 minutes where I can sit there and go, we're up against the benchmark, we're up against the standard that we want to hit. What worked, what didn't, how do we go about fixing it? And if we're closer than we think, then I think it's going to lead to a lot of interesting debates this season in terms of, are Liverpool going to prioritise competitions? When in reality, I think if we are able to get results here, or we're able to have a good performance here at the Etihad, that could be the catalyst that pushes us on to win trophies, because that momentum it's going to give us. I think we're a massive momentum team. That momentum is so important for us.
No, listen, I think you're both saying the same thing. I agree. I think everyone agrees. This game for Liverpool shows you where you're at and how close you are to the title for sure. Guys, we are going to wrap up in a second. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Before we go, boys, we need to do that disgusting part of the show where we find out the result prediction, score prediction time. Errol, what are you saying, man?
2-1 Liverpool. Núñez opener. Salah winner.
Okay.
Scenes.
Tell them what you're saying, bro.
If we played my ingenious way of the 4-2-2-1, we win 1-0. If we play the way Jurgen Klopp's going to play it, I think we win 3-2. And you know what I'd love more than anything? Joe Gomez's first ever goal. Scrappy comes off his arse in the last minute off a corner, but Joe Gomez gets his first ever goal at the Etihad. Because he's not going to score a good goal for his first one. It will be the scrappiest thing that probably isn't even claimed by him, but it's all that matters.
First little tactical. Yeah, I've gone for a 3-1 City win, but not like a clear, like a 2-1 up, and then we probably get one on the counter. That's the way I'm going towards the end when you're pushing. But it's going to be close. Guys, that's it. Time for talking is done. We've spammed out the previews, man. You know what I mean? We've been around, on everyone's channel, smashing out these previews, getting the content out for you. I hope you enjoyed this show. If for some reason you still want even more City Liverpool preview content, and I did a stream this morning. I did a video with Judge Mo on the second channel, More LB, link in the chat right now. You can go check that out if you want to do that. Me and Errol before did one on Grizz Khan's Football Carnage. We've been on fucking everyone, Hossam's channel, everywhere. So there's loads of stuff to get out if for some reason you are still craving more Man City versus Liverpool preview content. Well, guys,
you must have previewed every single aspect of this game with the amount you've done.
Bro, listen, yeah. Did you know what's funny?
And you haven't even mentioned Haaland. Been with him for 2 hours. Lad. He's hardly mentioned Haaland. I'll be real, he hasn't.
Haaland will be Haaland. He will do his thing. But
the machine, man, the cyborg will be the cyborg.
Just before we wrap up, I seen some guy. I was on TalkSport this morning. Some guy commented and put, "Who is this guy? Never seen him before. In the space of the last 4 days, he's been everywhere." It made me laugh. But guys, we'll leave you with that. I'll see you tomorrow for the live watch along, live from 11:30 UK time. Really sorry for all the people on the other side of the globe getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's pretty disgusting. But we will be there. Manchester City versus Liverpool. See you later. Peace out.